All right, let's get this diagram pulled up.
You got mail.
Oh, cool. Pewter, read me my email.
Happy weekend, boaters. This weekend at the marina, we have decided to celebrate our slip holders with unlimited free booze. Also, don't forget the once-in-a-lifetime Miss America bikini contest with hands-on judging encouraged. I'd hate to be someone with an unfinished boat project that can't be here for this unbelievable weekend.
You kidding?
See you out there.
I gotta get this boat done. Back in 2017, I began a full restoration of my 96 Bayliner by tearing it apart all the way down to the hull. From there, I began the rebuilding process, which included learning to fiberglass, rebuilding an engine and outdrive, learning to fair and paint, and even upholstery. Now, I've bought a 28-foot cabin cruiser, and I'm starting all over. Welcome, my name's Jared. Now get ready, because it's going to be a ship show. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Jared, and in this episode, we are going to tackle one of the last few things that needs to be done before putting the engine back in the boat, and that is taking care of the sea strainers. There are 3 in total going back in the boat. 2 are, I'll say, existing sea strainers. Now the third one is brand new, and that is a Teague Custom Marine sea strainer. It's a stainless steel unit. That sea strainer, the purpose of it is for the engine. Now, Bravo drives typically don't come with a sea strainer for the raw water plumbing. However, the closed cooling system on this thing obviously has a heat exchanger and several other sort of smaller heat exchangers for power steering and oil cooler and things like that. And risking getting any debris in there can cause some serious issues in terms of overheating. So I'm going an extra step to go above and beyond and install a sea strainer for the engine specifically, so that will catch much smaller debris that could theoretically get through the little holes in the Bravo drive. So that being said, let's grab some stuff, hop back in the bilge, and get that stuff installed. Let's go. Oh my gosh, it's like 96 degrees right now and 477% humidity. But I want to go ahead and get this taken care of because I'm going to put some epoxy on here. That's going to need 24 hours to sit. So instead of wasting time, let's go ahead and do it. All right, so I'm removing the fuel tank cover / step because I want to be able to see the backside of this bulkhead, because I'm going to be through bolting one more sea strainer here, and that's going to be a new addition to the boat. It's going to be a sea strainer for the actual engine. Anyways, let's remove this. So again, I want to be able to see the backside of this bulkhead for two reasons. One, I'm going to have to be able to get bolts in there anyway. And two, I want to make sure I'm not drilling into my gas tank. Obviously, that wouldn't be good. So I've already gone ahead and marked the 2 holes here. So let's get the drill and get going. Okay, so I have a little wooden template I made here to mark the locations of the holes. And what I'm going to do is, these are actually sized 3/8 or 1/2 inch, I forget, for the bolts that are going to go through. I'm going to take the Forstner bit that I used to drill these holes and use it to just mark the point of where those holes need to be, so that'll mark them. And then I'm going to take a larger Forstner bit. If I drill the whole way through first, then the Forstner bit won't have anything to guide it to keep it centered. So again, going to use the larger one then to drill the entire way through the bulkhead. And I'm going to come back and fill those holes with epoxy, then re-drill with the correct size drill bit, and that will make sure that this penetration in this bulkhead is waterproof. Here's the larger Forstner bit. Now we're going the whole way through. Whew. All right, let's get this cleaned up. Okay, got that cleaned up. Now I need to go get the very little bit of Thixoflex I have left, or epoxy, Thixo, Total Boat stuff, the stuff in the caulking tube. I hope it's enough. It's going to be really close. So I'm going to tape off the backside, fill it with epoxy, and hopefully fill it with epoxy. I guess worst case I have regular epoxy. I can make my own thickened, but hopefully it's enough. Okay. I know this isn't the most ideal thing for this in the world, but it's kind of what I got. So going with painter's tape. Should be fine, as long as it doesn't fall off. But this Thixo stuff is, as the name implies, pretty thick, so I don't expect it's going to try and run out anyway. And it looks, knock on wood, like I'm going to have enough to fill both of these holes, but we will find out. And I have already pumped out kind of like the first 2 little squeezes to make sure it's fully mixed. But you can see that's where the end of the plunger is, so I got that much left in here. But I think we'll be okay. Here goes. That should be good. The tape seems to be holding up okay, so we're gonna let that cure overnight, and then we'll come back and re-drill the correct size holes tomorrow. And God, I hope it's not this hot. All right, good morning, everybody. Today is tomorrow, and that epoxy has cured up on the boat. But before I get out there and re-drill the holes for the correct size bolts, I figured it makes sense to kind of go over what exactly I'm planning on for the sea strainer. And this is it. So this guy is from Teague Marine, I believe. I bought this probably over a year ago. It's not cheap. Didn't love the price, but I think in the long run this is going to be a good investment, especially with a motor with a heat exchanger. Heat exchangers have lots of really small passages inside, so minimizing the amount of debris and things like that that can go in there and clog up, potentially starve the engine of cooling water and overheating seems like a good investment. So this is it. It is a fully stainless steel unit. They have a couple different options as far as how the cap attaches. I went with these just socket head screws. It's not something that I anticipate having to remove all that often and clean out, so I didn't spend the extra for like the quick remove cap and stuff like that. But again, they have also some different configurations with the inlet and outlet locations, things like that, how you mount it. You can get a surface mount. This is considered a stringer mount. Anyways, it does not come with what's attached here, so let me talk about that. Obviously, this is a ball valve. This is very critical, so this would be on the inlet side. So if you need to service this or this develops a leak or anything like that, you have a ball valve here to be able to shut off any raw water flow from flooding your boat. Or again, if you need to clean this, you can shut this valve off, open this up, and water's not going to come in. Now, this is going to be very close to the water line, so if in theory you had this mounted above the water line, you wouldn't necessarily need this to be able to clean it, but I think this is still a good safety thing to have anyway. And finally down here is a 316 stainless cam lock fitting. Now that is quite a deviation from what is normally on the Mercruiser engines. So if you're not familiar with the cam lock fitting, that is what this is. This is the hose end. This has a 1.25" hose barb on it, and that fits over here. And it has a rubber gasket inside of there, if you can see that. So you put this on here, and then you bring these two cams back. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Can't guarantee it's going to work. Like that. And now that is locked on there and makes a very good seal. These are used quite a bit in industrial chemical processing type stuff. Even on like garden hoses, snowmaking hoses, stuff like that, super high pressure. So it is very much up to the task of pretty basic water pumping. And again, it is 316. Now, because this is a very critical application in terms of boat sinking and things like that, they actually have these holes in here. And that is what these are for. These ship with the cam lock fittings. Now these pins you actually would put in here, and now this can no longer come undone. So if you were in the boat and vibration, or you actually kick this on accident or something like that, this can no longer come undone and have the fitting come off and leak. So anyways, I think this is going to be a huge improvement over what Mercruiser used originally, which I have over here. One second. These are Mercruiser's version of the quick connect coupling on the boat. These are the originals. In theory, it sounds like a good idea, but in practice, there's an O-ring inside of here that seals on the outside of this piece. When I tried to take these apart off of the boat, and what it's missing from this one, but there's normally like a metal clip here that locks it together. When I took the engine out of the boat, I just about shot these things with a 22 trying to get them apart. They were so stuck together, and there's really nothing holding them together just except for that O-ring. But over time, that O-ring dries out, you get buildup in there of marine growth, things like that. And these things were damn near fused together. So I ended up actually having to take a screwdriver and really pry on this thing, and actually put a little bit of a crack in one of them. So I really despise these. Now, it's not something you're obviously going to do and undo all the time. But if I ever need to take the motor out of the boat again in the future, which knock on wood, I won't have to, but if it happens, I mean, I've tested the motor in that previous video. If you guys saw it, everything seems fine. But in the off chance that I miss something, there's an issue and that motor's got to come back out, having these cam locks in there is going to make it way, way easier. So anyways, that was a quick sidebar as to the C strainer I'm using for the engine. Now, let's go out there, get that epoxy re-drilled for the bolts, and get this thing mounted. Okay, so here we are back on the boat. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but here are my two filled epoxy holes. Again, they are quite oversized to what they need to be. This is the actual Forstner bit I'm gonna use for the bolt hole itself, and you can see that it's quite a bit smaller than the epoxy. So again, the point there is the whole drill, fill, drill method. So you drill oversized, fill with epoxy, and then drill the correct size, and that way you have epoxy the whole way around the whole ceiling, the bulkhead wood, in theory. All right, let's get this vacuumed up. All right, let's go get the C strainer and the mounting hardware. Hopefully I didn't screw anything up. Okay, we are back. Got the hardware, got the mounting bracket. I disconnected the C strainer from this just to make it a little bit easier. And all right, it's time to throw the hardware in. So obviously these are a little bit bigger. I drilled a 1/2" hole for 3/8 bolts just to give me a little bit of adjustability. Alright, and as the last step, I'm just going to throw a little bit of Permatex Forma gasket on the bolt threads just to make sure the stainless on stainless doesn't try and gall on me. Okay, and finally, while I still have a little bit of adjustability in here, this is just going a little bit above and beyond, but the boat is not obviously sitting perfectly level on the trailer in the driveway, so I just have this little digital angle finder, and I'm just going to make the assumption that the gas tank is pretty close to level as far as the boat goes, not as far as the earth goes. So I'm going to zero this out on here and then use that to make sure this is at least similar to the gas tank. Again, not really a big deal, but I figured it's worth a shot. Okay, with this thing nice and rigid now, let's go get the rest of the sea strainer, screw it onto here, and then we can get the hoses hooked up. Or at least, nah, I guess I don't want to put the hoses in yet, but anyways, let's go. So let's flip this over, and this should just pop in here, and get these screws started by hand. So last thing I need to do is, since this is in, I'm going to hold off on this hose for now that goes back to the transom assembly just so I'm not stepping on it and stuff. I got a little bit more wiring and we get the bilge pumps in, and then I'll put that in kind of last. All right, well, speaking of bilge pumps, let's get back in the bilge and get those installed. And at that point, we should be like fully wrapped up on things that need to go in the bilge before getting the motor back in. Let's go do that. So I don't like having this one this far back because it's going to be more under the engine and inaccessible, and I've already kicked it like 3 times. I'm afraid it's going to break, so I think what I'm going to do is kind of cross this hose over a little bit and set it more over here so it's kind of even with this one. I also think it'll be good because that means this one will be up a little bit higher, so it will become sort of like the backup in case this one's not working, because the water level will be a little bit higher over here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright guys, well that is going to do it for this one, I think. Feels good to get that plumbing done in the bilge, between the bilge pumps, the sea strainers, get all that figured out. And like I said, I mean, that's pretty much everything that needs to go in the bilge before the engine goes back in, which is kind of crazy to think about. Now, before I get too ahead of myself, I'm going to sit down, get a couple cups of coffee, and just start thinking about everything. Make sure there's nothing I missed that needs to go in there before the engine, because that is going to be a pain in the butt after that's in there. But anyways, like I said guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Share this. Smack your brother. Whatever. Anyways, we'll see you in the next one guys. Thanks for watching.